So to begin, me, Nick Hugabe, and Alex Bach, right here, will debate the successes and failures of the civil rights movement.
No, we should say
Okay, so some of the topics we will discuss include Document 164, which is a Southern Manifesto, which relates to the Brown versus Board of Education and the agreements and disagreements with that.
We will also be discussing Document 168, the Montgomery bus boycott, and we will include Rosa Parks and how she refused to give up her seat.
Another document that will be in our topics include Document 169 and Martin Luther King, his letter from a Birmingham jail.
And I am Nick Sawyer, and I will be covering Document 172 on Lyndon B. Johnson's commencement speech at Howard University.
To go into greater depth in Document 164, the Southern Manifesto, we're going to begin by talking about Brown versus Board of Education. So Brown versus Board of Education first came about because Brown's daughter Linda, who was a third grader, had to walk 6 blocks just to get to the bus stop where she would be taken to her black segregated school, and the white school that was segregated was just 7 blocks from her house. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Brown, and the decision made by the Supreme Court overturned the Plessy versus Ferguson decision made in 1896.
Well, Brown versus Board of Education officially ended segregation in schools, although that may have not happened in all the schools in the South and North and all across the country. As in the document, it states that the Southern Manifesto repudiated the court's decision on Brown versus Board of Education, and their main argument was that because segregation worked well so far, it should still be allowed in school systems today. This can relate to anything we do today, really, as to say that something should stay the same way it is because it works, which kind of goes against everything anyone believes in, especially who works in a job that wants to improve something, or there's even jobs today that have positions open for people working towards continuous improvement.
Just because something may be working for you in the past, I mean, when the times are changing, you also have to change the way that you think. I mean, just look at like automobiles. I mean, from what they were in the past to what they are now. I mean, they were working for them in the past, but they've been able to advance and just
give us more miles per gallon, give us better fuel, create a safer environment for everyone. Due to the Southern Manifesto, it brought to the rise of direct action, which was things such as the Montgomery bus boycott, which we'll be talking about later. And this was very vital in the role of the civil rights movement, as Rosa Parks, she refused to give up her bus seat for a white man. She was tired. She sat on the bus one day, and a white man came up, told her to move, get to the back where the colored section sat, and she refused to move. She was an active member of the NAACP and other organizations.
And I'm going to be like,
now I will provide a scene where Rosa Parks is discriminated against.
I want your seat.
no.
Poor Rosa Parks was then arrested at the bus site where she was discriminated against, and not forcefully, but might have been emotionally hurt. Who knows? Because she was taken to jail.
So getting into Document 168, Rosa Parks' arrest sparked a year-long bus boycott, which eventually resulted in the Supreme Court ruling segregation and public transportation unconstitutional in the city.
This boycott allowed for the emergence of Martin Luther King and the role that he played in the civil rights movement, as he came to Montgomery in order to serve as a pastor for a Baptist church, and he's been a part of an organization called the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
Martin Luther King delivered a speech on the night of the first protest meeting, which electrified the audience. In his speech that he gives, Martin Luther King doesn't really provide many examples of racism that is going on. Just kind of gives like just an overview that it's been going on for too long, and then he kind of gets into what happened with Rosa Parks, just explaining what happened to the audience, and just trying to encourage them to almost do the same, but in a peaceful way, like she did.
He says, if we are wrong, the Supreme Court of this nation is wrong, the Constitution of the United States is wrong, and God Almighty himself is wrong.
Martin Luther King did a really good job of energizing the crowd without getting them angry to a point where they would want to protest in a violent way. And really, like, a lot of protesters nowadays should kind of use the same techniques, as it was one of the most successful protests in our history.
Because that helped lead to the SNCC, which is the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and that and CORE alone helped with the freedom rides, which were bus rides across the U.S., and they got very dangerous, but they were nonviolent direct action examples that were just examples of how you could be nonviolent but be very effective in protesting.
Martin Luther King had achieved national recognition for his leadership in the Montgomery bus boycott, and when he arrived in Birmingham, Alabama to assist the protest in Birmingham, he was arrested almost immediately for violating the ban on court order banning demonstrations.
The clergyman in Birmingham, Alabama, said to King that he was in jail and got jailed because it was unwise and untimely that he showed up to Birmingham, Alabama. But he showed up because he said injustice lived in Birmingham, Alabama. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So, in King's letter, he writes that one of the main topics he writes about is white moderates. And what that basically means, I'll try to sum it up, it means that basically bystanders, people who are bystanders to the civil rights movement. So if something's going on, so as racial discrimination was happening, they'd stand by and do nothing about it or take no active cause, whereas a person who was trying to help would help in the protest. So you would have protesters, and then you would have the KKK, and then you'd have white moderates who say they're for civil rights, but fail to do anything in action of aiding civil rights. I will now provide a short clip of a white moderate in action.
I don't necessarily agree with what's going on here, but I'm not going to do anything to stop it.
So for document 172, Lyndon B. Johnson's commencement speech at Howard University, he was pretty much redefining the relationship between freedom and equality through Johnson felt as though the freedom barriers were kind of falling down.
Oh no! Freedom barriers!
Freedom barriers. From kind of basic understandings, and like he just felt like the right to share fully, equally in American society was not there anymore, and even like the right to vote and hold jobs were just, it was not equal for whites and blacks, and he just kind of just wanted to change this. So for the equality part of Lyndon B. Johnson's commencement, he pretty much just states that men and women of both races are born with lots of ranges and abilities, and he pretty much says it all depends on the type of school you go to, where you grow up, the poverty, richness of your surroundings. It all kind of swirls around this one central idea.
Here, you are shown staircases, but here you are shown our staircase.
That is
COVID negative.
Some more negatives.
Not good.